You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Adler and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 630, where on this one, we're going to be talking about everything that is coming for Star Wars in 2026. So we're 49 years away. It's kind of crazy to think about. 49 years away from the 50th, or from when Star Wars started, 1 year away from the 50th anniversary. And you would think that Star Wars is slowing down or would be slowing down, but thanks to George Lucas about 10 years ago, it's not. And we've got a lot to discuss on this episode, from novels and TV to movies, change in management. I mean, this is going to be a really kind of crazy year going into this year. So to help me do all of that, I am a returning guest is Chris Cavazos. Chris, welcome back to the show, sir. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Albert. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man. This is, when you look at this list, I don't want to get too much into this because we're going to talk about it in a second, but it was kind of shocking as I was listing things out going, oh my gosh, there's this, there's still that, there's still this. And then even after I'd done the show notes, you shot me two more things like, hey, we probably should talk about this. And so it's just bananas to think that there's this much content coming this year. And we're only 2 weeks in for the year so far.
Yeah, there's really going to be a lot of great stuff coming out. And I'm really excited. This is actually going to be probably within the last maybe 3 or 4 years, the most exciting year. And what a way to kick off the 50th anniversary. I mean, the pre 50th anniversary of Star Wars, with having such a big year ahead of the 50th.
Yeah, for sure. It does feel like this is kind of the preamble going into that 50th anniversary. So,
right.
All right. So before I get started and before we get into the main topics here, I do want to say thank you first off to everybody that supports this show, whether you're watching this for the first time or you've been here for a number of years with us. Thank you so much for your continued support. And a special thank you to all of our Patreon members who continue to financially support the show and keep everything running. So first off, Christina Smith is our newest member. She joined the This Is the Way tier a couple weeks ago. Thank you again, Christina. And I want to say thank you first off to our now part of the tribe members. That's Alex, Danny, Dante, Daz. I've got a Brad feeling, Jackson, Jacob, Josh, Mike, Paisley, Rita Reborn, Riss Bayless, Sharkman Dan, and Uncle Leon. And then our top tier, which is our Delusions of Grandeur tier. This is Rod Racing, Rob, and Steve. Thank you guys again very, very much. Also, we do have YouTube memberships for $1 if you want to join that. I'm going to give a quick shout out to our 5 people. We don't really do a whole lot on YouTube as far as that stuff goes, but thank you very, very much for at least supporting the show in that way. And that's Luminera, Katia, Kathy, my Star Wars guys again. Thank you, buddy. And Nikki, who have all joined there. So don't forget, you can hit the icon over here. It's over in the corner there. If you scan that QR code, that'll take you to the Patreon page. You can sign up for as little as $2 and get the back catalog of audio episodes. If you want video, you can go to the next tier up. And then after that, it's kind of like getting your kudos in the beginning of the show and credits at the very end of the show. So, but either way, again, thank you also for being there and for helping out. Okay, let's get into the main show. I want to talk about everything, of course, as much as we can within the hour here that's coming out in 2026. But man, the biggest one I think is The Mandalorian and Grogu. We're back. Star Wars is back in theaters. We're getting this movie that coming off the heels of season 3 for the most part. I mean, it's been a couple years now, but coming off the heels of season 3, which I enjoyed. I know a lot of people didn't feel like it was the best one, and some people didn't like it, but I still enjoyed it. And I look at that series as holistically as a whole. I really, really enjoy this. So I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know where I am in terms of like the hype level just yet. Maybe that's going to be forthcoming for me as we get more teasers and trailers and stuff that's, some of the expose stuff as, behind the scenes stuff. Maybe my hype will go up. I'm really excited to just get back in the theater, but I haven't really reached the point of, oh my gosh, it's a Mando Grogu movie. So I don't know, Chris, where are you right now on the hype level? Are you excited for this? And what are your thoughts on Mando Grogu?
I would say I feel about the same. Again, the hype level for me is getting Star Wars back on the big screen, because in my opinion, that's where it belongs. Don't get me wrong. I love all of the TV media, that content, but I grew up watching Star Wars on the big screen, and I think that's where it belongs. And really, bringing Mando and Grogu from the small screen to the big screen is probably the best thing to do as far as, what type of content to bring back to the big screen. So I'm looking forward to it. Is it like the hype for The Force Awakens? No. Is it like the hype for The Phantom Menace? No. But there is hype there. I am stoked. My other friends who are Star Wars fans, they're stoked and ready to go. So I probably foresee that as time goes by, as we get closer to that May 22nd release date, the hype will start to build up, and we'll start to feel a little bit more of that, like episode 1, The Force Awakens hype for this movie as well.
Yeah. And if you've been living like in a box or under a cave or under a box in a cave, or maybe it's the other way around, I don't know. But if you've not been in touch with what's going on in Star Wars, this does come out May 22nd. And usually what we do is we get about 30, 45 days out is when the media junket and press stuff starts happening. And it's an onslaught. I mean, it's a tsunami of everything that you want to and don't want to see or hear about the movie. But I guess first impressions after seeing some of the trailers, I know you were at Celebration, so you got to see the Japanese release there, or the teaser that they did. We broke that down as a Patreon exclusive. It hasn't been shown to the public. There were a couple of scenes that were put into the more recent teaser first trailer that we got from there. But I guess just quickly, what was that experience like, first off, being firsthand and watching that there at Celebration last year? And what are you thinking so far, I guess, as a pulse? Do you like the direction the show's or the movie's going to go potentially?
Oh, I definitely like the way that the movie's going to go with, seeing that video or seeing that the sizzle reel, essentially what it was that they showed at Celebration. I did get excited because for me, it took what they did in the TV show and they amped it up just a little bit to get us going in that hall room where we were watching that sizzle reel. So yeah, I think it did its job. Then we have the what we saw in the first official teaser. Then little bits of videos and pictures have come out here recently. So I think they're just kind of slowly building out the hype. But definitely, I enjoyed watching that. I got excited, and again, it's like they're taking what we had in the TV show and just pumping it up just a little bit. So I'm hoping when we get to see the final product in theaters this May, it'll blow us away.
Yeah. I mean, everything from the little poster that you can see here, I thought that was a great kind of flashback to, the pulpiness of what Star Wars was kind of inspired by, whether it's, the Flash Gordon stuff and all that. But great movie poster. A fact that we're getting Zeb back from Rebels is awesome. We kind of predicted that would happen. So Sigourney Weaver's back, or for her first time, I guess. I mean, she's kind of like, the sci-fi lady, if you will, at this point. So It's great that we've got her. There's some royalty there. And then you've got, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni that are kind of behind all this. And so it's in good hands, man. Once even that, I'm with you. Like, it was great to see the teasers and some of the trailers that have come out yet, but I just don't know enough about it. Not that it's going to change whether or not I see it in any way. But I think what I think really this is going to do is kind of be a test. It's almost kind of a canary in the coal mine to just see where the pulse of Star Wars is. I mean, we haven't had a Star Wars movie in a while. The last one we got was The Rise of Skywalker. Depending on where you were in your head canon and fandom, that was may or may not have been something you were looking forward to or walked away feeling really good about the future of Star Wars. But so this is a great kind of test to see. One, can these types of characters transfer from TV to movie? And two, what's going to be the general public's response? Are they going to come out in droves? The hardcore Star Wars fans are going to be there regardless, right? We're going to show up for a Star Wars movie, but is it going to be enough to pull in the general audiences? And is it going to do well enough to really kind of get this back up to a high bar that was honestly set with the sequel trilogy of, 1 billion plus worldwide for all of these movies? So there's a lot riding on this movie in a lot of different ways. I've also heard too that, this could make or break whether or not we get future movies in this format, or at least following TV shows, or it could sway and change the temperature of where Star Wars goes in the future of Star Wars, depending on its success. So we'll have to see. But I'm pretty excited about this, man. Yeah,
I'm excited about it too. And to touch on your point about, yes, the hardcore Star Wars fans are going to come out in droves to watch this movie. I don't think anyone who says they're a Star Wars fan is going to miss this. But it's the casual fan or the not hardcore Star Wars fan. And I was actually talking to a coworker of mine who's more Star Trek than Star Wars. And his take was, he actually brought that up, which, kind of shocked me initially. But his take was that a lot of casual fans know who Yoda is, right? And if they see Grogu as Baby Yoda, like we all saw him when The Mandalorian first debuted, that's piquing their interest to come and check this out if they haven't seen the series.
Right. Yeah.
So I think, Grogu being Yoda's species kind of will bring out those casual fans who know Yoda and want to see, hey, what the heck is going on with this little guy that looks like him? So, so I think that will help to bring out the casual fans. Do I think he'll do $1 billion? I don't think it will, but it doesn't need to. It just needs to be a good movie. It needs to be a good story. And I think with that, it'll be successful in its own right. Yeah, it has to make money because ultimately that's what Disney is interested in. But I think with the support of the Star Wars fans, and if we get a good story, I think we'll be all right. And we'll be able to move forward with other movies, like you said, that transfer from the small screen to the big screen.
Yeah. Yeah. In the comments, let's see. My Star Wars guy says I liked season 3 better after the rewatch. That's fair. I think a lot of people watched it, one time, and then they were like, okay, I'm done with, this, and never haven't gone back. And I think it is with a lot of Star Wars, quite honestly, it gets better after you watch it a few times for sure.
Definitely. No, I would agree.
Yeah. One Up says I'm hyped to see season 4 packed into a movie. That's fair. It probably could be a season 4, and then lots of well-known creatures coming to the big screen should be crazy. So yeah. Especially, Road to the Hut, and we've got confirmation that who's the guy, Jeremy, whatever his name is. The kid.
Yeah, I forgot the kid from Shameless and The Bear.
The Bear, yeah,
and the Bruce Springsteen movie. I don't remember his name. Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that he's back in this movie is kind of crazy too. So we'll see. This is it's still kind of early. I know we've gotten a lot of stuff on it, but it's still kind of early to really kind of make any predictions or start theorizing exactly what's going to happen outside of what we've seen in the teaser trailers.
Yeah, the return is Stinky.
Right, Stinky, that guy. All right, let's go into. I should have blown this up, man. Sorry, guys, for anybody watching at home. Let's talk about the TV stuff that's coming. So let's kick off with The Ninth Jedi. So this is the Star Wars animation limited series that's based on the 2 episodes that have come from Star Wars Visions already. We've had The Ninth Jedi, and then we had Ninth Jedi Child of Hope. Not a lot about this one just yet. If you go out to their website, they've got a couple things on here. I think the release date was October 29th. Is that right? No, this was for the, that was for the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have a release date on this just yet. And we don't really know a whole lot. I mean, I don't know if you've had a chance. Did you watch, The Ninth Jedi? Did you enjoy that?
That's actually, those 2, episodes of Visions from season 1 and season 3. Yeah. They're my favorite of all of them.
Yeah. They were good.
The Ronin one is like a close number 2, but, those 2 together, those are my favorite. Those are the ones that I've rewatched. Yeah. I like the other ones. Don't get me wrong. The other ones are good. There's some that are great, like there's the Ronin, but, the Ninth Jedi, those 2 episodes, they really, did it for me in regards to, anime mixed with Star Wars. I think that was the perfect, mix for me. So I rewatch those all the time.
I think it was, and you're right. Like the animation was great. I'm not a huge anime person. It used to be in my past life, but over the last 15, 20 years, I really haven't watched a lot. But I mean, for me, it was eye candy first and foremost, right? Mm-hmm. On top of that, though, I was really surprised. And if you've heard any of the breakdown shows we've done on this, I've always been intrigued. What really stood out for me from The Ninth Jedi was just the world building. Like it really opened up like, wow, there's a lot going on here. And they did it very swiftly or deftly, so you didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm getting lost or I can't keep up. They just kept putting little things out there that made you go, whoa, what are you talking about? This change or that's change, and why is this happening? And they built upon that success when they came out with Child of Hope. Child of Hope was kind of a little diversion. I called it kind of a side trek, a side quest that she went on before we get back to the main one. But nonetheless, all of that that whole Star Wars multiverse or whatever you want to call it instance is pretty fascinating. So I'm really excited about this. I'm with you. Like this was one of the standout ones from season 1. Definitely was one of the ones from standout for season 2. And, we've got the same people coming back as far as the writing, the directing, the animation studios. Disney has said they're going all in on this. So they've had a lot of involvement, more than they have with the shorts that they've done for season 1, season 2. They've had a lot of people from Lucusfilm, hands-on with the teams, the creative teams. And so, and I've even seen, I don't know if this is, rumor speculation, if you will, but I saw some folks talking about, well, maybe this is potentially what could be the future of Star Wars, right? It's so far out that there's a possibility that this could suddenly be something that's, not necessarily canon, but the direction that they want to go in. Because it's very intriguing to think that all the Jedi are gone again, and, the Sith Lords are gone again. And, that whole atmosphere and the environment that was set up in those, it's pretty intriguing stuff and very different, and feels different too, especially with the lightsabers and how they work and all that. But this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to this. Again, no release date on this. We know it's coming later this year, 2026. I assume shortly, not much longer here, probably within the first quarter or second quarter at the most, we will get some kind of information as far as when it comes out and all the stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, I think we will, because, we got the information for Visions season 3 at Celebration, and which was in April. We got Visions season 3 in October of last year. So yeah, I think early quarter 2, we'll get something about this.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it, because that just shows, that Disney, Lucusfilm understands the popularity of the characters, here, to give them their own short series versus just, an episode in a
less than 15-minute block.
Yeah, in a catalog of other stories that really have nothing to do with it. So that had me really excited. So again, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm counting down the days till we get that information that let us know when it's going to be officially released.
Yep. On that same note, probably the same level of interest for me is this guy right here. So this is Darth Samal, Shadow Lord. This is a series that's coming out here this year, 2026. Still hasn't been determined as far as the date goes. We're still waiting on that. You've got Sam Witwer coming back. It's supposed to take place about 1 year after the Clone Wars, so about 18 BBY, more or less. There's also a comic that's coming out. That comic will be out in March. If we get around to the comics, we'll talk about it. But there is a comic that's kind of like the prequel to the television series that's coming out by Marvel. I think it's like 5 issues, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it's 5, yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be out again in March. So we'll get the previews for that. Well, usually it's like, sometimes it's a week at the earliest, but yeah, so we'll get the previews for that. I definitely want to do some comic breakdowns for those. But yeah, I mean, this is that time when Maul starts kind of ascending into the darker, shadow world, if you will, of Star Wars, which is something that we see him by the time we get to, of course, Solo and some of the comics and some of the other stories that have been written. But I'm really excited to see kind of that progression of him going from, from former Sith to, an assassin kind of thing, and then getting kicked out by Palpatine and being, losing his brother, suddenly going to this shadow world era, rising up as a crime boss, and then falling from that. I don't know if we're going to get the fall from that, but that would be kind of nice to see that fall. So that kind of leads directly into where we see him by the time we get to Star Wars Rebels, where he's just kind of beaten, weathered, and just completely obsessed with the white whale, which we know is Kenobi, right?
Right.
I'd love to see, I hope they get some of that in there. And if they don't, that's totally fine. But nonetheless, I mean, the fact that you got Sam Witwer coming back as, voicing Darth Maul, the animation looks amazing. You've got some kind of apprentice there that looks like Darth Talon. Maybe it's not Darth Talon. There's been some debate and discussion about that. But there's a lot of stuff in here that looks super intriguing. And of course, when I say the Darth Talon stuff, it almost leans into, the sequel trilogy that George Lucas had planned.
Right.
So I'm thinking they may have salvaged some things or some storylines. Filoni wouldn't be the first time he's done that, or Lucasfilm hasn't done that, but it would be cool to see if they've kind of weaved that into this story as well. But I guess your thoughts, I know I said a lot there, but your thoughts, on Maul Shadow Lord, and are you into comics? Do you do comics? And how excited is this something like, would this entice you to actually pick this series up now?
So I'm not real big on the comics, but 100% I'm going to get that series because of what I saw for this particular show at Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, that time frame between the Clone Wars and between the time we see him in Solo really wasn't interesting to me.
Yeah.
But then I saw the clip that they played at Celebration and I became interested.
Right. Yeah.
The story, how they presented it, again, Maul is ascending to that Shadow Lord, and now he has an opportunity to have his own apprentice. That really drew me in. So 100% I'm behind this project. Just a little bit of information. So we talked about the Mando and the Mandalorian and Grogu, and how the first sizzle reel debuted at Celebration, and it got a big pop, right? It's the Mandalorian. It's going to get a big pop.
Right.
When this showed for the first time, the pop was equal.
Oh, wow.
And so I would say this, along with, Mandalorian and Grogu, were probably, when it comes to television, movie, media, these two were probably neck and neck as which one was most popular. And not to mention, the animation looks amazing.
Oh, yeah.
If it continues to go down that path, obviously changes are going to be made, right? That's just how it is. But if it continues to go down that path with the animation that we saw at Celebration, I can confidently say that this is probably going to be the best animated show from an animation perspective that Lucasfilm Animation has ever put out. The animation is that good.
Yeah, I think when we did break down the trailer that was shown, it was not shown. I think it was shown behind closed doors, but we did it again as a Patreon exclusive. And you could definitely tell, like, it felt like it was the next level up after the Bad Batch, right? In terms of like the quality of it. But yet it still had this, this animated feel to it without getting too much into the 3D side of things. So it almost had like this kind of like, there was a texture to a lot of this stuff. Like it was hand drawn in some ways,
the guy that I was sitting next to at Celebration was like, it's like a comic book brought to life.
Yeah, that's a good way to put
That's the way he described it. And I agree with him. That's how it looked. But again, the animation is amazing. So again, this was not on my bingo card for Star Wars projects. And when I saw what it was going to be, I was like, yeah, this is interesting. But after I saw all of the content, I saw the sizzle reel, I'm all in.
Yep. And the funny thing is too, the more this happens, the more it becomes even funnier. Travel back to 1999, and Darth Maul falls down that chamber, and you think, wow, that was a really cool character, and he's dead. We're never going to see anything from him again. And now, fast forward, 20 something years later, and it's like there's so much Maul content, and this is a credit, of course, to Filoni and the creative teams there. But I think about they're kind of the second Holy Trinity, at least one of the Holy Trinities, and that's Ventress, Maul, and Ahsoka. Right, 3 characters that came out of the Clone Wars who could have been, just nobodies, or really didn't. It could have been characters that no one really cared about. But yet, when you think about all 3 of those now, there's so much story, there's so much content that I love every one of those characters as much as I do some of the original characters now. And yet, here we go. We're still getting even more content, more stories about Darth Maul, of all people, the cockroach, the character that will not die.
Will not die, exactly.
Yeah. So good on them, man. And it's great to see that there's that level of excitement coming. I'm going to go to the quick comments real quick. Only Vader's girl. Hey, guys, she says, thanks for being here, Kat. Appreciate you being here. Rob says, I am way ready for the Maul show. I'm really interested in more Underworld stories. And Anthony, hey, thanks for being here. Star Wars animation is top shelf stuff, in my opinion. Yeah, it always has been, quite honestly. I mean, you think about where we were when the Clone Wars launched, right? That level of animation and detail and character development, storyline. I mean, that was just another level that had never been done. And it got all the accolades that it deserved over the years, of course. But every time it feels like, and it goes back to Lucas, right? He didn't want to just put out movies or just TV shows. He wanted to figure out, how do we move and push that technology? How do we move the needle on this stuff? And it's part of what I think Anthony's talking about there, but certainly a testament to how good the quality of a lot of the stuff has come out over the years.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I've gone back and I've looked at episodes from the Clone Wars in season 1. And then I've actually gone back to see what we got in the last season of the Bad Batch. Yeah. You can see the progression of the animation, and it's they've been pushing the envelope, and the animation has been getting better and better. Again, like I said, if the animation style continues into the show, when this show is released, in my opinion, it'll be the best animation they've ever done, because it looks amazing.
Yeah, I agree 100% there. Let's see. All right, let's go into maybe Ahsoka season 2. Like this one is, we know they're done filming. We know they're in post-production. They've wrapped up a lot of this stuff already. We're just waiting for the date, which feels like it's imminent, similar to what we talked about with some of these other things. It feels like they are going to announce it. I mean, they've still got a lot of runway. We're only, as of this recording, it's January 11th, right? So there's still a lot of time for them to announce it and ramp up and do the whole marketing piece of it. So I'm not saying it won't come out in 2026. I think I'm fairly confident that it will. It's just kind of weird that they still haven't actually done anything with it, and all in due time. But season 2, Ahsoka, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I was excited about season 1 just because I'm a massive Rebels fan, and that felt like season 5 of Rebels, where that thing ended with potentially the world between worlds and Balin Skull and Shinhati and, Ezra now being over here, yet, Sabine and Ahsoka are trapped in the other worlds area. I mean, it just left on a great cliffhanger. And the fact that we're going to we know now also, don't mean to spoil anything, but we've heard that Anakin is coming back as well. So Hayden Christensen's coming back, reprising his role. That puts my head in wondering, like, hey, what's going to go on there? Is he going to be continuing to train Ahsoka through in her dreams or in visions, or, what's his role to play in all this? There's just a lot going on. And we've got Dave Filoni heading this up. Again, no date just yet, but I'm in 100% on this if it does come out this year.
Yeah, I really, really loved the first season of Ahsoka. I thought, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's just a continuation of Rebels. And yeah, you could kind of see that because you had the same characters. But for me,
the characters,
it didn't feel the same. It felt like something new. So, but it was just with similar characters. And, I love the conflict that Ahsoka has, throughout the series about, should she train Sabine? Should she not? Should all that? It all played into her character growing. And that's why I loved Ahsoka season 1. At Celebration, obviously they hadn't started filming yet. So there was no sizzle reel or anything, but I'm sure you've seen this, Albert, but they actually copied the technique that they used all the way back in 1979 or 1978 for the teaser trailer for The Empire Strikes Back, where they kind of had like an accordion like effect coming, and they showed the what are those things called? Like the concept art for the show, and they showed that, and that got the house going really good there. A lot of cheering, hooping, and hollering. A lot of it looked great. The best thing that I saw, because this was a concern for me, was, obviously, Balin Skull was originally played by Ray Stevenson, who unfortunately, we lost him a couple years ago. And Rory McCann, who's best known as the Hound from Game of Thrones, was taking over that role.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were excited, but I was like, I can't see him being that character. I guess I'm stuck seeing him being the Hound. Well, they showed a picture of him dressed as Balin Skull, and I was sold. And I was like, yes, that was my biggest concern. Dave gave that to us, and I was like, yeah, I'm sold. I'm good. And I just got real excited from that point.
Yeah. And I've heard a lot of good things. I mean, it's, a lot of the actors and some of the people that have been able to say something without saying anything, they've said that his interpretation, or I guess his portrayal of Balin Skull as Ray Stevenson, was pretty phenomenal and spot on. So, I mean, that says a lot, right? I mean, there was a lot of love that was lost when he passed, of course, everybody from Star Wars fandom. That character just came out of nowhere and hit everybody so hard.
Exactly.
And then to lose him the way we did, and the manner in which we did, was just really devastating. So to hear people come out and say that and praise him for his role in that. And he even said, look, I'm not Ray Stevenson. I'm not going to go out there and try to, I'm going to do my best to be him. But, he understands the big boots that he's trying to fill and the big shoes that he's trying to fill there. So he's been very humble about it. He feels that it's an honor, and he's going to do his best to give the fans what they want, which is, Ray Stevenson as much as he could anyway. So,
well, he pulls the look off. That's step one. Now let's see if he can do what you're explaining and actually pull off Balin Skull as Ray Stevenson as Balin Skull. And if he can do that, I mean, we'll be golden from that point on.
Yeah. All right, let's move into games, which there's only 2 that are coming out this year, at least that we know of. We've got Zero Company, which I pulled up here. So Zero Company is the game by Respawn, Bit Reactor, known for some really amazing games that have come out here recently or in the past. This is coming to Steam, Epic Games, the PlayStation 5, Xbox as well. This is coming in 2026. We don't have an official date. Again, this is another one that we'll probably get a date on soon. This is a turn-based game. So if there's actually a video out there, I'll click it and see if it'll play here. But there's actually a video that kind of shows you the gameplay as well as some of the footage. And it's actually, this is right up my alley. Like, I don't mind the action games, and I don't mind like first-person shooters. I mean, I'll play those games and I'm okay at those. But when it comes to like turn-based strategy games, this is like really where I spend a lot of my time and investment in video games outside of Star Wars. So the fact that we're getting one of these, which has been a while since we've had any kind of a strategy turn-based game from Star Wars, quite honestly, outside of mobile, there's been some mobile stuff out there as well. But I am really, really stoked for this one. The fact that they also want to point out that this takes place during the Clone Wars. In fact, here I'll read the kind of the blurb on this game. It says, "Command an elite squad through gritty and authentic story set in the twilight of the Clone Wars. You will step into the shoes of Hawks, a former Republic officer who leads Zero Company, an unconventional outfit of professionals for hire hailing from across the galaxy." And this is really kind of like it's one of those where they've taken these misfits or all these bad people together, right? And DC's done it, Marvel's done it, and they put them into this. They've sent them on missions like these clandestine, special ops missions that you go into. When they announced this, I was really stoked about, just the footage that we're seeing here right now from the trailer. But then when you actually see the combat, that really got me excited because it's like, again, it's exactly what I want. So I don't know where you land with, how much gaming do you do? Is this something that you're interested in seeing? What's your pass on this stuff?
I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a gamer, but just the fact that the story around this is essentially, like you said, gathering a group of outsiders, misfits, to come and take these jobs that essentially make them the patsies. That's the story is what would bring me to come play this game. I'm kind of the opposite of you. I like the fighting games, the first person shooters,
the twitchy stuff.
I like that, but this definitely has my interest just because of the story behind the game.
I'm showing the footage here, by the way, the actual gameplay footage, but keep going. Sorry.
No, and that was another thing is that I've seen this too. And the gameplay footage is something that looks real cool. Again, I don't have too much experience playing these kind of games, but just seeing how the gameplay has me interested. So this is definitely something I'm going to pick up.
Yeah. It looks great, man. I can't wait. There's a lot of it too. This one actually has a whole website that's dedicated to it, and they kind of break it down. There's some really cool screenshots and that sort of thing. So if you get some time, please go by and take a look at this and see if this is something that you're willing to invest in, because it's Star Wars games have been around forever, and there are very few that I've actually felt like weren't very good, quite honestly. I even like Star Wars Hunters. I know I talk about that game a lot on this show, but that game it was really fun to play. And fortunately, it's already gone before we got a chance to play it very much. So, all right, the other one, and I did break this down already, so we don't need to talk about this one too much. This was Galactic Racer, which just kind of came out of nowhere towards the end of the year. There, this is the racing game that's being put out. What's the development team? I already forgot the development team, but this one it's kind of like a Wipeout. It's kind of like a Ridge Racer or whatever it is. But the fact that we've got pod racers as well as other vehicles, land speeders. There's some speeder bikes in there and some other stuff going on. There's a storyline, single player. All of that is, again, racers aren't my thing, but similar to with like Battlefront, right? The story aspect and actually getting to play as Iden Versio was really, really a lot of fun and super intriguing, just because that was canonical in terms of the storytelling. I think this is going to be the same thing as well. So from that aspect alone, it's going to pull me in. I'm going to play this one. But just quickly on this one, because like I said, I did break this down on a Waystation, which was a couple months ago now, maybe about a month ago. But your thoughts, I guess, on this game, and how are you with racers? Is this kind of something you would do as well?
So if the game is fun, I like it. What this reminds me of old school Nintendo F-Zero, which was actually one of my favorite racing games of all time.
Yeah.
But it's with Star Wars characters and Star Wars vehicles in Star Wars locales. Obviously, we see Jakku on here, and also other planets that may or may not be Hoth or whatnot. So to see that them racing in these locales with those vehicles, and then not to mention the cherry on top, the return of Sebulba.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That this is another pickup for me, definitely.
Yeah, I was kind of burying the lead on that one because he is teased right here at the very end.
And like a lot of folks have said, he's aged really well.
Yeah. I don't know what he does or what his routine is, but it's pretty impressive. So, yeah. And the other thing too is, I know we've been talking about this. It's not a very one-dimensional game. Like if you actually look at, what they're doing here and some of the stuff that they've, some of the thought and design that into this game, there is a level of customization that's coming to this game that is like, we haven't seen really in a Star Wars game in quite some time. So it does feel like there are going to be multiple layers to this one as well. But yeah, this one, again, nothing on this as far as a date goes. but sometime this year for sure. And especially given how far in advance, or I guess what this looks like and how far it is in development, it feels like this is definitely going to be something that I would expect to be no later than the summer, quite honestly. But you never know with games, right? They can get pushed back for development reasons and get in development hell for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah,
but,
I would agree with you. I would say summer, if not summer, then holiday 2026.
Yeah, definitely before the holidays.
Yeah.
I don't want to cash in on that as soon as they can. Okay, let's move into what I'm calling some Lucusfilm and theme park stuff. Okay, let's start with something that I haven't seen a lot of people talking about, at least on the looking ahead to 2026. And all in fairness, this is a story that broke last year. Kathleen Kennedy came out and kind of said, "Look, hey, it's been 10 years. I've had a good run. We've always talked about the a succession plan, and we're going to start making some effort to put all that into effect by the end of the year." Last year, right? We're rolling into this year, and there are rumors running around that Dave Filoni, as well as Lin Breen, are going to be taken over as Brennan are going to be taken over as the new co-presidents of Lucasfilm. This came from Puck News. I've said a lot of mean things about Puck News on this show. One person in particular who I won't name. Because sometimes they get a lot of right. I'm not saying they don't. They get a lot of stuff right, but there's been some things that I've felt were very, very reckless about, and some things that they've gotten completely and absolutely wrong.
Right.
Yeah. So, and that's probably the case. So I can't say for sure whether or not this is valid or is definitely going to happen. These are going to be the picks for Lucasfilm. What I will say is, and I mentioned this, I think we mentioned this last year on a Patreon exclusive show. We have someone that we're very close to that is very close to, I guess I'm going to say, just call it Dave Filoni. And at that time, when that was announced, we had it on good word that he was not interested in it. Like, this was something that he was like, I won't get into the reasons because I can't, but he was not interested in it. Since then, something has changed if that truly is the case. If he really is coming on board, it could be the money. It could be what they've promised him. I wouldn't say the power. That sounds very Sith-like. But, the ability, the creative control that he would have, even more than he has today, in a position where he doesn't have to worry about all the back office stuff, right? Mm-hmm. All of the paperwork and marketing and doing all that. He can just really focus on creating Star Wars, very similar to the way George Lucas did, and allow somebody who is very competent. Lin is currently the president and general manager of Lucasfilm Business. She's just going to pick up all that other stuff that Kathleen Kennedy, she's doing now, and the stuff that Kathleen Kennedy. So it makes sense that this is kind of the best of both worlds, and certainly puts Dave Filoni in a better position to really just focus on the narrative of what Star Wars is going to look like over the next 5-10 years at a minimum. But I guess, what are your thoughts on the change of Kathleen Kennedy? I don't know. We've never really spoken about, how you view her, or, what you feel like her tenure has been. And then how do you feel about Lin coming in and Dave Filoni in those roles that I just talked about?
Well, I'll start off by talking about, my opinion of Kathleen Kennedy. I would say her tenure has been successful. And really, I'm not judging her on the content, because she's been around a long time. And she's put out a lot of great movies. She's been a producer, E.T., Jurassic Park, you name it. She's probably had a hand in it, especially if it's from Amblin. I don't really, fault her for the content stuff. Because, if you go up to bat a lot, there are going to be times you're going to strike out. Right. That's just the way it is. My issues with Kathleen Kennedy has to do with management and how some of these, I guess you could say some of the content that was scheduled to come out, like, never saw the light of day. And I'm talking about content that they announced on a big stage. So I was at D23 in 2019 where we got some big time announcements for projects that were coming up. Kenobi was announced at that time. We got Kenobi. Ahsoka was announced at that time. We got Ahsoka. The Acolyte was announced at that time. We got the Acolyte. But there were 3 other big time projects that they put time and effort into that just fizzled out into the netherverse. One was the Rangers of the New Republic. And I'm sure you've heard of that. Now, I will give her some grace on that because I think that died with the whole Gina Carano controversy.
Yeah, it's been confirmed that they had to rethink how that was going to look like and what that future Filoniverse was going to look like. Yeah,
exactly. So I'll give grace there. But then there was a Lando series, which has kind of died and come back to life several times since then. Yeah. But as far as I know right now, it's still in development hell, like what they say. Then there was going to be a droid series. Mm-hmm. And again, they had a graphic and everything. And she was out there with, I believe Anthony Daniels was there, and nothing. Not to mention some of the mismanagement for the, the stuff that we actually did get. So we can go all the way back to Force Awakens. And I don't remember the gentleman's name, but essentially in the middle of writing The Force Awakens, the original person who was they fired him. Yeah. And they just had JJ write and direct The Force Awakens.
Yeah, they had him just do both at that point, right?
Exactly. Then we have the whole Solo fiasco with Lord and Miller being the writers and directors. And they actually got halfway through shooting, and then they decided, no, we don't like where this is going. The whole creative differences thing. And then they brought in Ron Howard to finish. And and I can actually tell when I watch Solo, I can tell how disjointed it is, because you could tell the content that's Lord and Miller, and then you could tell the content that's Ron Howard.
Yeah, something doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up. And then, but then you have some nice surprises in doing that. And not to mention, we'll talk about episode 9, Colin Trevorrow. He was supposed to write and direct episode 9. Mm-hmm. And he actually finished his script, and we've seen that. That's the Duel of the Fates script that's floating around there.
Floating around the internet, yeah.
Yeah. And they ended up firing him, and again, brought in J.J. Abrams to both write and direct the movie. Which, the management stuff is where I kind of falter a little bit. But then I said, you have the nice surprise where, and that is Rogue One, because we all know Rogue One was written and directed by Gareth Edwards officially, but they didn't like the finished product. So they were going to do reshoots, brought in Tony Gilroy and said, thank you very much, Gareth Edwards. We don't need your help anymore. And so he kind of did the last third of that movie, which actually made it great. Right. Cause I think, the first 2/3 of Rogue One, at least for me anyway, it was good, but it wasn't exciting for me. But then we get to that last third, which is all Tony Gilroy.
That final act is all Gilroy.
It's amazing. And it makes the whole movie great. And not to mention, because of that, we get Andor, as a result. They brought him back for Andor. So again, content wise, I don't fault Kathleen Kennedy. Management, there were some mistakes made, and everyone makes mistakes, but that's really my only criticism of Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah. As far as bringing in Lin-Wen Brennan and Dave Filoni as co-presidents, I think that's great. I'll focus on what you said, because I kind of heard that too, that he was not interested, because he is in himself. He's a creative. Right. He's not an administrator. He doesn't want to go play politician, because being the head of a company that is, under a huge corporation like Disney, you have to play that politician role.
Right.
That's what he was not interested in. But now with this model, Lin-Wen can handle all of that, all the administration, all of the back office stuff, all of the political stuff that you have to play with Disney, which allows Filoni to still be in that position, but focus on the creative. And that's what his passion is. So I think when they said, hey, maybe initially they tried to, I don't know, this is all just what's coming out of my mind. Maybe they initially offered it to him and he's like, no, because I don't want to deal with all that other stuff. I just want to make content. I want to make movies. I want to make TV shows, and I want to write, and I'm a creative. I want to focus on that. I think now, because of this model, Lin-Wen Brennan will take care of all of the other administrative stuff, which keeps Filoni focused on the creative stuff, and they both are up there as a co-president. So I think that was the change, if this is true. And if that's the case, I'm excited for it, because, it is time. I mean, it's been 13 years. Yeah. And I think it is time. I mean, I'll quote a old football coach, Darrell Royal, who coached the Texas Longhorns. He says, if you're on top, don't stay too long.
Yeah.
So I think, it's time. And I think Kathleen Kennedy knows it's time. And so I applaud her for what she's done. I think even though there's a lot of detractors, I think Star Wars right now is on good footing, and it's because of her. So I applaud her. I wish her well. And I'm looking forward to what Brennan and Filoni bring in the new era, if that happens.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. And I definitely understand. Like, before, I want to talk about Kathleen just real quick, because I haven't really said a whole lot on the show over time. I guess I have. But the only thing I was going to say is I had predicted it would be Carrie Beck. I overlooked Linwin because I was thinking somebody that was just going to take over as a whole. And Carrie has both sides of it as a producer of many Star Wars, television shows, animated shows. And then she's also got that creative mind because she is, behind the scenes helping pull a lot of the creative strings. I felt like she was going to be kind of the person that they would, put in that natural position. I do like the idea of splitting that up. And I would assume that if Filoni was indeed saying no to this deal originally, Disney and or Lucasfilm probably went back and said, okay, how do we compromise here? If he doesn't want to do it, we need him a part of this. So maybe, okay, look, if you don't want that part, we'll get somebody else to help take that off your shoulders and you can just focus on this piece. That's more likely as to how it went down. Regardless, I'm with you 100%. Like, I feel like this would be a great compromise and it would allow them to both kind of do things they're very strong in and still have that co-presidency. I don't know how that really works. I don't even know what that really means, but we'll leave that up to them to kind of figure out over the time. And then the other thing I want to say about Kathleen Kennedy is the way I look at it, I'm going to really oversimplify this. First off, her coming into this position was kind of like whoever was coming into this position was almost like a no-win position, right? You're trying to go in and take the place of somebody like George Lucas. And and I'm not saying George Lucas was perfect either. Like, I feel there were some things, and I've said this many times, I have some criticisms of all of the movies. You can find poke holes in all of those movies and a lot of the business decisions that he made over the years, right? But the fact is, he was the creator. I totally understand it. I'm not overlooking that. I'm not making light of that. He is the creator. He is kind of that one that generated all this, and his say was the final say in everything. I totally understand that, right? But the fact that he saw this as, look, I'm getting old and I don't want Star Wars to die. If you think about who he knew, that list of people that he felt he could entrust this series or for Star Wars to continue on was probably one of two people, right? And I won't get into who's who, but Kathleen Kennedy was one of them. And I think he made the absolute right choice for Kathleen Kennedy. Her role in coming to this, into Star Wars, into Lucasfilm, really boils down, I'm going to simplify it again, to three things. Number one, her first primary responsibility is get back the money that was purchased, right? As a reporting up to Disney, that was first job number one. And they did that. I mean, they did that from The Force Awakens alone, right? Right. They sold it for $3 billion, and you add up all the money that they've made over the merchandising, but all three movies, as far as ticket sales and everything else that goes in there, they've made more than that. And so that was absolutely check the box, 100% successful. Number two is bringing new people in, right? You've got to be able to bring people in and create content. Well, so create new content that people are going to want to go out and see. The three movies, the main movies, the sequel trilogy, are testament to that. You may not like them, but look at how much money they made and look how successful they are, right? And as Disney as a business, that's how they're going to gauge that. No, they're not going to really gauge it any other way. There's been a lot of other movies. She's got a number of TV shows under her belt that were really successful. So by and large, she created a lot of new content, got a lot of new stuff out, whether it's novels, television shows, movies. So as far as, making sure that stuff gets done and is coming out, I think she checked the box on that one. And then the last thing is kind of towards the end of her career or her tenure there, she's got to ensure that whoever is coming in is in a position to ensure that Star Wars lives on for another 10 years, right? And you think about stuff like, the Filoniverse and what was going on there from a television perspective, that's all set. You look at what's coming out, how they ended The Rise of Skywalker and some of the things, whether it's the book that's coming out or the Rey movie that's hopefully coming out here soon. They're poised to continue on that. But then you also got, her dabbling in ensuring that there's stuff that came before that, whether it's the High Republic or even maybe the Old Republic now, that is still, viable. And so she's put Star Wars in a position for whoever comes in to certainly not feel like, man, I don't know where to go with this thing. There's a lot of stuff now that they can build on. And I think it does ensure that Star Wars is going to be alive and well for at least the next 10 years. Is it ever going to be the glory days of like 1995, or I would say 95 because that wasn't really just then, but the glory years of like, I don't know, 1980 or fast forward to 2020? No, probably not. But at least she's got it in a position where it could be. We just need good movies and good stories again to kind of bring those people in. I'm not saying we haven't had them again. It's just, we're going to need some more of that before we can get back up to that level. So I don't know. That's probably a lot more than I really needed to say, but nonetheless, again, we'll see when this is announced and how it's announced. I think a lot of the optics are going to be important. The messaging is going to be important, and we'll see what the fan reaction is going to be. Filoni has lost a lot of favor for some of the people that have never really liked Star Wars to begin with, but were okay, or no, sorry, didn't like Disney to begin with, but were okay with Filoni because he was the mentor of George Lucas. But, some of them feel like, oh, he's been corrupted or he's been tainted and now he's not the same person. You're talking about a small percentage there, but I think by and large, Filoni does have what it takes to ensure that the creativity that comes out to Star Wars is going to be appealing to the masses. And that's what you want for this IP to live on. And certainly as a business shareholder, you want the best future there for your money.
Right. I would agree. And the big thing about Filoni is that he understands and he knows, he appreciates, and he respects the lore. Yeah. And I think with someone like that at the top of the creative minds that are going to be putting out the Star Wars content in the future, I think that bodes well for the content that we'll be getting. Just one more quick thing on Kathleen Kennedy. The measure of your tenure at a particular position is always, are you leaving wherever you're at in a better position than when you got there? Mm-hmm. And I can definitely say that Star Wars, Lucasfilm in itself, warts and all, is in a better position now. If truly 2026 is her last year at the helm, it's in a better position now than it was in 2012 when Disney bought it. Yeah, I could definitely say that.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. You'd have to be pretty cynical to say that it wasn't the case.
Right.
Kat says so many people came in for Mando and Grogu, and I love that. Yeah, that's exactly right. Right. That brought in tons of people. There were brand new people coming to Star Wars. Same thing with Acolyte. You may not have enjoyed it, but guess what? There were a lot of people that came in and were like, wow, this is cool. I've never really watched Star Wars and I'm a fan now. Same thing with the sequel trilogy. I've already talked about my kids. That's their trilogy. That's what they want to watch. They don't want to watch the prequels. They don't want to watch the originals. But if I put on the sequel trilogy, that's what they grew up with.
That's what they grew up with.
When they were 5 years old, those are their heroes. So we got to keep that in perspective and know that there will be another renaissance that comes for those movies later down the road as well. All right, let's keep it moving here. So this is still on this topic of what I'm calling, I guess, I don't know, theme parks or whatever else, but this is sort of related. But this is the opening of the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. So this is coming September 22nd, 2026. You can see here on the video, they've got a countdown clock running here. You can see the design which looks like it's something out of Coruscant. I mean, let's just be honest, right? It doesn't even look earthly in any way. But this is going to be, a museum that's got all kinds of really important pieces in there. It's also got a book library, like a massive library inside of it. Of course, it's George Lucas who's behind all of this. And there's, what was the other stuff that was going on here? But this is coming this year. And are you going to get out to see something like this? I know you get around and get to a lot of the theme parks and that sort of thing, but is this on your bucket list for 2025 or 2026? Or you think this is going to be something you'll wait and see how it goes?
So right now, if I had to make the decision, like right now, it probably would be, I'd probably combine it with the trip to Celebration 2017 in Los Angeles.
Yeah, 2027. Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2027. Yeah, I dated myself 10 years.
Yeah.
But each day I keep hearing more things about this museum and how cool it's going to be and how it's not just Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
Right.
It's all this other stuff that he had interest in. And look, Frida Kahlo. I mean, perfect. Each day I'm kind of like, yeah, do I want to be there on September 22nd when it opens? Maybe, maybe not. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a quote up here. Narrative art tells the story of a society, what the common beliefs are that hold it together. And that's from George Lucas. But when I read that quote, who I think of is actually Thrawn from Rebels. Remember, He was just obsessed with like the art and culture of different societies, and that you could read in a lot into it and understand them in different ways. And of course, this is probably where this is stemming from. I mean, Lucas and Filoni were very close when they did a lot of this writing. I'm sure that's where some of the inspiration came from. But you're right. I mean, there's some really big pieces, like I said, on here. If you click on the map, they've got a little message here. I think you can see like how it's designed. You can go inside on some of this stuff. Like, look at that. I mean, that's That looks like it's on Coruscant right there.
Yeah, it looks. I would say that looks pretty Camino-in to me.
Oh yeah, more Camino-in. Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, like I said, each time a little bit more information, a little bit more content about this museum is being released. It's kind of piquing my interest to try to convince me to see it before 2027. But we'll see.
Yeah, retail, dining, theaters, exposition park. Looks cool, man. This, and it's down in South LA. I mean, they took basically a piece of property that was, needed an upgrade, and boy, did it get one. So,
yep.
Looks pretty cool. Yeah. Alex just said Frida painting. It's going to be there. That's the one. The painting will be there going forward. I think he purchased that, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong in that. Okay. Let's keep moving. Let's get into your territory a little bit more. So we've also got this year coming, 5/22, May 22nd. There is the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run update. So as somebody who's been to this, I don't even know how many times you've been to it, but what is this all about? Like, what are they doing here? Why is this a big deal and worth talking about?
Well, currently the storyline around Smuggler's Run is you have to go work for Hondo Naka and obtain coaxium for the Resistance. That's the storyline behind the attraction. Now it's going to change to something that like kind of integrates with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Okay. Makes sense from a marketing perspective. Exactly. That's what you want to do. Yeah.
Now, I don't know any like other details other than that. But that is going to be a big change. Because that story, smuggling for Hondo and Naka has been there since Galaxy's Edge opened in 2019. And, it was due for a refurb and to actually tie it into the next Star Wars movie. I think that's a great idea. And I'm excited. That's probably something I'm going to go do debut weekend because I'm a big Galaxy's Edge person. I love Batuu. I'm definitely, that's probably something I'm going to do. Now I just have to decide, do I want to do it at Walt Disney World or I want to do it at Disneyland? I just got to decide which coast I want to go to.
And you said they're doing them both at the same time, right?
They're going to, which is unprecedented. I mean, yes. Well, no, it's really unprecedented because, Galaxy's Edge opened first in Disneyland. Then later on that year, it opened in Disney World. To have both of these be available, both of these changes be available simultaneously is kind of, again, it's kind of unheard of. When Rise of the Resistance debuted, it was actually the opposite of the opening of Galaxy's Edge. It debuted at Hollywood Studios first, then it came to Disneyland. So this is definitely new territory for them, making both of the big changes to this attraction at both coasts.
That's cool. Yeah, you can see here, you like you got Mando and Grogu flying by you at some point. Looks like you've just taken out a TIE fighter here in the front. This is concept art, so who knows if this is exactly what it's going to look like. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty big deal. The other thing that caught my eye on this is they mentioned how the graphics are getting an upgrade. So I'm not sure what the special effects look like with the ride today. I've never been, but it looks like they've spent a lot of time working with NVIDIA to kind of upgrade a lot of that and soup it up. So who knows? We'll get some new stuff there as well.
So what I've heard is basically the original build of and I forgot the engine. It's built on a video game engine, obviously. But I think they're bringing in technology that they use in the volume to this attraction. So it's not just flipping, it's not just, adding new backgrounds and stuff. They're actually going to have to upgrade this from the bottom, not from the bottom up, but they're going to have to add a lot of additional hardware. I mean, that's stated in that article.
Right.
Supposedly it's supposed to mimic what they use in the volume to actually make, TV shows. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, I've got some other pictures here. You can kind of see them. I don't know if it's washed out on your screen or not, but that looks like parts of the Death Star that are just kind of floating in space there. It's a dish.
Got
this
Bespin,
is obviously Cloud City, Bespin, Savannah gas mines. You got a sand crawler here, so I guess we're going back to Tatooine again. Or maybe it could be somebody else, somewhere else.
So what this leads to, and I actually just now thought of this could be similar to what you have when you go on Star Tours. Because when you go on Star Tours, you don't know where the journey is going to take you. Maybe here with Smuggler's Run, you're going to have several options and it just, it's going to be randomly selected for you on which adventure you take with Mandalorian and Grogu.
Okay. So you got a couple different options here.
Right. Exactly. So we'll see. I mean, that's really all of the information I have, but that's just what it looks like to me with all of these concept pictures here that it could be similar to how Star Tours operates.
Man, Star Tours, missed that one. I've been to that one. But all right. Let's talk quickly about this. This is another thing coming in 2026 at parks. We're going back to Star Wars night. You can kind of see it here, the After Dark Star Wars night. Mm-hmm. This is pretty exciting. Again, I've never been to any of those, but I know a lot of people that have and would religiously go and make the pilgrimage out there just to be a part of this. So the fact that it's coming back is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, definitely. It had been gone for a while. I went to a Star Wars night at Disney at Hollywood Studios. I haven't done a Star Wars night in Disneyland, but I do want to try it out. The big thing is that most of the time, or I think this year, Star Wars nights are going to be around May the 4th. So if that's the case, then it's going to be a big party out there at Disneyland.
Yeah, April 28th, 30th, and then May 4th and 6th are the 4 dates that they've got right now for this. So if you didn't know and you have tickets or want to be out there for it, get out there ASAP, or get them anyways as soon as you can. And then lastly, I guess on this topic here, I don't have a visual for it, but you and I were talking before we came on the air here about how Celebration, of course, is 2027. It's in Los Angeles. And we know that tickets are going to go on sale. What is it? About a year before? Is that right?
Yeah, normally more or less 13 months to a year before the actual event. So look for an announcement to be made here, probably in the next month or two. Because really, Celebration doesn't give you too much leeway. I think for Japan, they gave us 2 weeks notice on when tickets were going to go on sale. But just keep an eye out. But it's very crazy. Keep an eye out because they should go on sale at least by the end of April if they follow their process that they have in the past. And then about a month or 2, maybe 3 after that, that's when they'll release the hotel block, which that's also a big get because you want to be able to get a hotel that's within walking distance of the convention center. So those are the 2 big things to look for. Again, between late March to the end of April for tickets, and then probably May, June for hotels.
Yeah, I'm going to this one. I know I said I was going to Japan and I had to change plans, but this one, absolutely going to. I love Los Angeles. I've been there a few times, but that's not really where I'm going. I normally, when I go to these things, I don't even spend any time, in the city. I'm just at Celebration and doing the stuff afterwards too, but definitely going to this one. But just quickly, you've got something interesting about Celebration that I want you to share with people as far as like how many you've been to now.
All right. So I've been to every stateside celebration, going all the way back to April of 1999 for Celebration 1 in Denver, Colorado, which has now been dubbed Star Wars Woodstock because it was a muddy, rainy, cold mess.
I've seen the pictures and some of the video of it. Yeah.
So I've been to every stateside celebration, and I've been to the one international celebration, which was this, in 2025 in Japan. But I had such a great time. It was Celebration, but also Japan. Japan is an amazing country. Their people are amazing. I love it. I want to go back. I will go back. But from now on, I'm not going to even miss an international one. I'm going to try to go to every celebration that I can from now on because they're all amazing. You're there with thousands of Star Wars fans. You feel the love. There's really not a lot of hate. So, if you're worried about running into like some of the fandom menace that you can run into
they don't show up.
They don't show up for that. So you don't have to worry about that. But the big thing is, this next celebration is celebrating the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. Now, I was at Celebration 2017 in Orlando, which was the 40th anniversary. And that was an amazing celebration, which probably had some of the best panel content I've ever seen. The best. I'm not going to even joke. It was the best. So it's a pretty high bar to meet. So we'll see what they do in 2027 for the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, it feels like they're going to try to surpass that or top it, given that it is the 50th. And, how many of us are going to see the 75th? I probably, hopefully I will, but you never know. So. Right?
You never know.
You never know. But, exactly. There's, you definitely want to take advantage of the fact that this doesn't come but once in a lifetime for some folks. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, excited about that. 20 Celebration 2027. So if you're going, let us know. I'd like to, we've had meetups in the past with listeners and supporters, and we'll definitely do that. And other creatives as well. Like there's some creative people that I know I definitely want to touch base with and go hang out with once I get there. So, okay. We're over kind of on time. So I want to just quickly run through just some of the novel stuff. So the novels we've got coming out, there's a lot of novels coming out. I may have to do a separate show and kind of talk about these, especially the comics, which we wanted to get to as well. But first off, I want to talk about Eyes Like Stars. This is the young adult novel, which is right here. This is from Ashley Poston. It's coming out on July 21st. This is a young adult novel. And don't to hear that and go, I don't want to read that. It's the young adult novels are actually pretty good. Now, the one thing that may turn you off on this is a romance novel. Like Ashley Poston has got a reputation for writing romance novels, and the fact that they're bringing it into Star Wars really is kind of cool. So if this is your thing, and you're into shipping characters in Star Wars, this is probably going to be a book for you. That one's coming out again, July 22nd. The one that's probably the most exciting, or one of the most exciting for me, is this one right here. This is Legacy. This is coming from Madeline Rue. She wrote Eclipse, which is From a Certain Point of View, which is the anthology book for the first Star Wars 1977. This takes place about 34 to 35 BBY, so in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And it's Rey and Leia teaming up together. I mean, she's trying to figure out what to do now that Luke's gone. They're going through some of the Jedi texts, and they have to go on a mission, and they go into like this temple, and there's all these kinds of puzzles and things they got to solve. And so she's kind of learning from Leia as much as Leia can teach her. But the idea that we get these two characters and doing that kind of like Tomb Raider-ish type work is pretty intriguing. So I'm really excited about this one quite a bit. We've got Reign of the Empire, which I don't have. It's part 2. So this is Edge of the Abyss. This is part 2 from the Alex Friedman book that he did last year. This one's coming out on September 15th. This is Rebecca Roanhouse. So you might know her from Dark Vengeance story that was in the Clone Wars Stories of Light and Dark. She also did the Resistance Reborn novel that came out just prior to was it Rise of Skywalker? No, it was Last Jedi, I think. But either way, she did that book as well. So she's no novice here. She's done some really good stuff there as well. That takes place around 6 BBY, so that'll be interesting. We've also got Outlaws, Low Red Moon. And now this one I'm really excited for. I've never played this game. Do I even have a picture? I've got it over here. I don't have a picture of this one. Do I? Hold on. I do. It's right here. So I haven't played Star Wars Outlaws. I have the game. It's sitting over here on my PlayStation for my PlayStation 5. I've never even opened the wrapper on it, to be honest. But the fact that it's Mike freaking Chen writing this is super exciting. So you might know him from Brotherhood. He did some other stuff as well, but he was supposed to come onto the show, and we had to change some things, and we never made it work. But he's a really, really great writer, a really great guy. I love him to death. I'm so excited that he's got this book, and he's going to do a killer job. This is a prequel to the video game, so it takes place about a year before the video game came out. So I know there are a lot of fans of the two characters that you see here. Was it ND5 and Jalen? Those two characters were really popular. And the fact that he's got these two guys and they're kind of their own little solo mission, and it's Mike Chen writing. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. Lauren talked about this on the last episode that we just did, where we broke down the most recent novel. I want to draw a blank on the stupid Master and Apprentice, right, by Adam Christopher. She's already got this book. I've got it too. It's not out yet, of course. This is coming out February 3rd. I need to read the book, but I wanted to play the game first. But I'll figure that out. But nonetheless, Lauren has a preview coming out very shortly, and then she'll have the full review on launch day once the embargo has been lifted. So she's already working on that. Super excited, and she seems pretty giddy about this book. So that tells me that it's well written, which I would have expected from him as well. So, all right, last thing for you, I'm going to do a special show, probably a Patreon on the comics, because I've got a lot to talk about with Legacy of Vader coming out this year. Quickly, Hyperspace Stories, Rogue Agents. That's a sequel to the Bad Batch comic that I covered last year. You've got Jar Jar. It's a one shot written by Ahmed Best, and including Jar Jar as well as Kalen, or what's his name?
Gosh.
Kelvin. I just had it on my tip of the tongues. Anyways, it's him and Jar Jar in a one shot that he's written. Great art. That's coming out February 11th. Shadow of Maul, I talked about that comic. That's a 5-issue comic. And then you've got Hyperspace Stories, which is the Dark Horse print company that's doing Grievous. So it's not a print company, but it's the brand, right? So the Hyperspace Stories, you've got a Grievous comic coming out on March 17th. I got that one in my inbox just last week. And so I need to read that because I definitely want to come back and talk about Grievous. He's such a cool character. And I want to know how much have they changed, if anything, from, some of the other stories that we've gotten over the past. Color and back. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate you jumping in, man, saving me. It was on the tip of my tongue and I screwed up by thinking about it too much. But Color and Beck is who Ahmed Best plays in there. So, but I'll get more into the comics and what to expect with that here a little bit later. But lastly, we were talking about this just kind of you and I just off even before we talk about doing the show. But this is the Lego Smart Play. So this is the latest new thing from Lego where they've got these smart bricks that can alter and change how you play with the figures. And they've had a big announcement here last week. There's like 3 sets that are coming out from Star Wars. You can see here the Smart Play, Luke's Red 5 X-Wing is one of the first ones. You've got the Throne Room Duel and A-Wing, which I don't know why they threw the A-Wing in there.
Right.
And then you've got like Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, which is, this set here. And you've got, I don't know what this is here, but this is actually really neat. So I know you said you were going to pre-order this. Did you actually go pre-order it? And is this something that you're looking forward to playing on your own or with your kids? So
I pre-ordered the X-Wing and I'm actually kind of excited. The one drawback is that in the, the demos that they showed at CES and in some of the videos, the sound is not right. Like the way the X-Wing, like when they like act like it's flying, it's not the right sound. The lasers are not the right sound. The sound effect, I should say.
Sound effect, right? And it's iconic, right? That's Ben Burt at his finest with that stuff.
Exactly. But again, it's a they had pre-production product out at CES. So
all right.
Hopefully by the time this comes out, they'll correct that and they'll actually have the appropriate sounds on there. Yeah. Really the only sound they got right was the lightsaber clashing. Everything else was kind of off. So that's my only kind of concern. The actual ships themselves look, especially the X-Wing, looks a little weird. But if the actual tech effect that comes with these products actually works like it's supposed to, it should wash that all out. It should be fun to play with. So no, I'm going to be playing with it. I don't think my son's going to actually touch it. So
he's not allowed to.
Yeah.
All right. There's a demo here. I hope there's an audio. It's not coming through. It probably is, but there's a whole video you can watch on the technology behind this. It is very different than anything we've ever had from Lego. They're putting all their chips in on this thing. And the fact that they got Star Wars to kind of be one of the first IPs that they use for it says a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, take a look at it. It's these sets, at least the initial sets, they're not really catered towards us. You can tell they're, like you said, the X-Wing looks kind of weird. They're almost targeting towards, the under 10-year-old in terms of like the way aesthetically, the way that some of these Lego sets look. And that's totally fine. Still, I mean, I've never grown up. And so these are, sets that I'll probably pick up, at least the first sets, because they're going to be memorable and collector's items and that sort of thing. But we'll see where this goes. I mean, there's a lot of potential here for this technology to kind of make and change how you play with Lego going forward. Because I will say this, as someone who has a number of children, the fact that we buy them Legos every year, or Lego, I should say, sorry. Some of the viewers get mad when I say Legos, but when we buy a Lego, they build them and they sit on the shelf and they collect dust and they never go back and play with them again. And I've tried to take them apart and like, okay, look, you can build it again. They're like just crying in tears. Oh, how could you have done that? So yeah. I don't know how you play with Lego sometimes. Sometimes they can be very fragile. So I guess they're trying to address a lot of this stuff where people are starting to play with them more after that initial build. Cause during that initial build, it's euphoric. I mean, I love building that stuff even to this day. And so do kids everywhere in the world. But once it is kind of, for me, it's cool because I can put them on my shelf and they look great. And I'm not going to, I don't want to play with them. But for kids, I get the meaning behind this and the desire for them to kind of find repeatable time for them to actually play with them. So,
well, I will say this. I kind of agree with you that, the actual, how the ships themselves are built, they do look like they're made for younger kids, but they're targeting you and me because they started with original trilogy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I get it.
Yeah.
The Gen Xers, that's where the money's at right now.
Right. We have the money.
Yep. Disposable income. They're not that expensive either. Like I don't know if you saw the price on these, but okay, maybe everything's relative, but for Lego,
it's relative. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Lego is already pretty expensive, but you've got $90 for that first one there. Okay. Maybe that one's a little bit more, $160. Oh, good grief. Am I going to pay $160 for that one? I might as well. I mean, I brought the freaking ghost ship. Why not, right?
I thought you were going to say you bought the UCS Death Star.
No, I didn't buy that. I really want that. Like, it's on my list of things, and I see it, but I kind of like the Ahsoka, the HasLab one. Like, where do I put this thing? Like, I have no room to put it, like physically put it anywhere. I mean, the HasLab is sitting right here, still in the box. I've never even opened it. And now Rob's in the chat right now, and he's going to tell me about all the different ways I can do it. And he's 100% right. There's a way to like mount that thing on your wall, which is really cool. There's ways around it, but it's just, there's no room for it. Honestly, it's not even about the income. It's just, I don't have the space for it anymore. So
you have space. Exactly. I hear you.
Anyways, yeah, space is a premium as you get more and more crap that you collect over the years. Yeah. But I mean, I think we touched on just about everything. There were, again, outside of the comics, and if we missed anything, let us know. There's certainly going to be more stuff that's announced as well. Don't forget, Star Wars, it's not unconventional for them to, come out in the first quarter or second quarter and say, surprise, we've got something coming out, as a surprise in quarter three or before end of year. So this is not by any means the full list of what to expect, but there is a lot here on the plate for 2026. It's going to be a very busy time. And then on top of that, you add in the change of Lucusfilm leadership and what that's going to do and how that sets the trajectory for the company going forward. It's all going to be very, very interesting to see how it plays out. But any final thoughts, Chris, before we wrap it up here?
No, really the only final thought is like, if you're a Star Wars fan, get ready for the ride. It's going to be a great year. I think there's going to be something for everybody this year. And there a lot of times, there are years that we don't have that. But I think this year there's going to be a little something for everyone. If you're more into video games, if you're more into literature, the books, comic books, obviously movies, but TV shows, we're going to have something for everybody. So it's going to be a great year leading up to the 50th anniversary next year.
Yeah, this is almost like, as busy as it is, it feels like it's the calm before the storm.
Right,
when
exactly.
we get to 2027. So awesome. All right, before we go, let me just say quick shout outs to everybody that joined us in the live stream. We got My Star Wars guys. Alex is with us. Anthony, One Up versus CPU. Paul's Collectibles. Hey, buddy, thanks for joining, and hopefully you're still there. If not, it's cool. We'll catch you later next time. Only's Vader's Girl was here with us as well, and it might have been everybody. If I'd missed you, please shout out now, or my apologies if I didn't catch you. So, but thank you guys for joining us on the live stream, for all your comments, and for hanging out with us. Don't forget, we've got more Force Awakens stuff coming out still on the end of the 10th anniversary. I definitely want to talk about that. And Chris and I, not to spoil anything, but we've been talking about bringing one of our Patreon members on board, and the three of us are going to be talking about Star Wars Celebration. So kind of the do's and don'ts. I want to get more stories from them on their experiences with Celebration. So that'll be a dedicated show that will be coming out here. We'll see. We'll have to work out the dates and times, but that should be a lot of fun to discuss. So plenty of more Star Wars stuff. And with everything that we talked about tonight, there's no shortage of content for me to talk about over the next year. So Chris, thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate you making the time to come out here and kind of break all this down with me.
Oh, no problem, Albert. Thank you for having me. I really have a lot of fun doing these, and I look forward to doing many more.
All right. Thanks, guys, again for joining us, and we will see you all on the next episode.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.